Imagine spending your entire life believing someone is your biological father, but in fact, the man who fathered you has several kids because of his medical work. That's exactly what happened to a woman in Michigan. A couple of years ago, she found out the man she called dad wasn't her biological father. Many of us have heard of the benefits of marijuana. The CDC says cannabis-based products are being used to treat nausea in chemotherapy patients, and those with multiple sclerosis too. And people are using it for chronic pain. Now the plant's being used in the fight against COVID-19. Moldova is a small neighboring country of Ukraine. Over the last few weeks, the country has supported over 230,000 refugees. Now, the Friends of Moldova and the Peace Corps of Moldova are collaborating to raise money for refugees in need. According to a report from the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, in the last 10 years, nearly 5,000 child care facilities have shut down across the state. Now, the governor has allocated $1.4 billion from stimulus to help the problem. An issue many people don't know about child care facilities: they operate with teachers, and most have run into a teacher shortage.
I went to a long process.
The past couple of years have been tough for 22-year-old Rania Ahmed. She had a brain tumor removed, which caused 3 strokes.
I can't do soccer and tennis and some a lot of stuff. And speech different now. In the hospital, talk no more. Yeah. Mama, and that's it.
Because of Ahmed's health conditions, she's now living with aphasia. It's harder for her to understand words and communicate back. She was diagnosed a few years ago.
Speech therapy and occupational, physical, all of that helped me a lot.
We work on techniques to improve your listening, for your reading and your spelling. Lots of drill, lots of repetition, and lots of practice. And people have to practice on their own time.
Jennifer Corey is a senior speech language pathologist and clinic manager at the University of Michigan's aphasia program. She says in speech therapy, they work on verbal expression, taking short words and making them into phrases. Prison gerrymandering is the practice of counting incarcerated people in the area where their prison resides, rather than their hometowns. And many people across the state say it's being used maliciously. Daniel Jones was only 20 years old when he went to prison.
In 2000, I was incarcerated at the Michigan Reformatory in Ionia County, and I'm originally from Wayne County. So while there, a corrections officer made a round and passed out a census form to everybody on the cell block. And as I began to fill it out, I heard a person yell out from inside of their cell that, we shouldn't be filling this out because we're not residents here in Ionia. They're trying to count us as residents so they can receive more funding and benefits. So I threw it away.
That was how Jones first found out what prison gerrymandering was. Now he's the outreach and engagement coordinator for the Michigan Collaborative to end mass incarceration.
After a person has served 20 or 30 years, after 2 or 3 different censuses have been taken and the population has just diminished, that area will not receive the funding and the opportunities that it needs for when people are returning home.
Jones says there are nearly 35,000 inmates in Michigan. Those prisoners still want to feel like they're a part of their own communities. That's why his goal is to educate people about prison gerrymandering and stop the practice he deems unfair to minorities.
I think it's very important, right, to have as much, of a voice as possible in your home community.
Tracy Brame is a lawyer from WMU Cooley Law School and says prison gerrymandering makes it hard for prisoners to have equal representation.
When the census began years ago, it didn't make as big of a difference because you're just really counting people in the state, right? It didn't really matter where you live. But statewide, we still count them, kind of where they're housed.
Brame says if you're in prison when the census is conducted, you'll be representing an area you're not from.
Considering that many of our prisons are in rural kind of outlying areas areas in Michigan that tend to be more Republican, tend to be more red, it's often the white rural communities that are benefiting from being able to count those prisoners for purposes of representation.
Here for you in Lansing, Samana, 6 News.
LNS is here for you with 6 News at 5.
I'm probably at about a 7.
I would say that this is an 8.
Health officials are concerned as the Omicron variant could spread in Michigan as the holidays approach. It's our top story at 5. Thanks for joining us. I'm Samana Sheikh. Michigan reported less than 14,000 new COVID-19 cases over the past 3 days, along with 160 more deaths. That's an average of 4,600 cases per day. Millions are expected to travel over the next 2 weeks, so health experts are bracing for another wave.